When was the last time you forgot to complete a task that a client gave you to do? I'm embarrassed to admit, but it happened last week for me. I got an email from a client last week asking me to do something. I was completely drowning in work at the time, so I flagged it and intended to come back to it. 5 days later, I still hadn't done it. That's when I decided I needed to automate the process of moving an email into my to-do list in Insightly, which is the CRM that I use for managing all my clients and tasks. Hi, I'm Laura from solopreneurmentor.com. I own a web development business from home, and I have 15 years experience learning how to manage clients and a family. In this video, I will show you how to set up Zapier to automate adding tasks to Insightly by forwarding emails to a special email parser. Sounds complicated, but it's super easy to set up, and I know it will save you a ton of time and prevent you from forgetting about important tasks. Best of all, Zapier is free to use to get started, so you can try it out and see if it works for you. Let's tackle your technology trouble together. For this tutorial, you only need to be a beginner. You can do it, I promise. You will also need an Insightly account, although you can use any CRM that Zapier supports. You will also need an email account, and you will need to sign up for a free Zapier account. Go ahead and do that first before beginning. The first place we're going to start is a website called parser.zapier.com. You're going to go there, you're going to see this fun little screen here, and then you're going to sign up. After signing up, I'm going to log in, and you can see I actually have two Zapier Parser going on already. But I'm actually going to create a new mailbox just to show you how this process goes. So what you're going to do is click this blue button for Create Mailbox. It's actually wanting you to use this first part of this email address to send something to. And I'm actually going to click on Skip Waiting because I don't like that email address. I'm going to make it something much easier for me to remember. So my website is called D3, or my business is called D3, and I'm gonna have this be maybe D3 new task or something like that, or whatever makes sense to you and that you can remember. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna leave all the rest of the defaulted here, and you're gonna click Save Address and Template. So now that I've got this new one, it says I've got no email yet. And so what I want to do is I actually want to forward an email. I have created a dummy email, but this would be similar to a type of email I might get from a client to do something with. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and forward this to this email address here, D3 new task at robot.zapier.com. And that looks about right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the forward part here, and I'm actually going to add in the name of the company that asked me to do this task. Maybe it's a company, maybe it's a person, whatever makes sense. But I like to put them first so that if I want to sort based on task alphabetized, it then will put all my companies first together, and you'll see why in a minute. And then I'm going to delete all this extra forwarded stuff here, and I'm just going to go ahead and leave that as it is and probably just take that out so that the body of the email is only what will be put in the actual task. So now I'm going to go ahead and click Send until an email comes in. Okay, now it says that last email came in 0 minutes ago, so I'm going to go ahead and click Edit on that mailbox. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a template. So this is actually the title of the email that came in, the subject of the email. So I'm going to highlight that whole thing. I'm going to name it whatever makes sense to me. It's something that you'll need to remember, but it's only for you to remember. So this I'm going to say is my task title, and I'm going to click Save. And then I'm going to click the rest of this as being my task description and click Save. That's all I'm going to do. I'm basically telling it, hey, this is the template that I want to use every time I forward you an email. Extract out the task title and the task description. Now I'm going to go ahead and click Save Address and Template. So now it's got this new template that it's using. Now, after we've gone ahead and done that, we're going to go over to Zapier. Now we're at Zapier, and I'm going to assume you've already logged into your free plan, and you're going to click on the big orange button called Make a Zap. Once you've done that, you're actually going to choose Email Parser. Since I've done Email Parser before, it shows up under my apps, but you can simply type in Email Parser and just choose it from the drop-down. Once you've done that, you're going to select New Email and click Save and Continue. I've already connected my account, so that's why it's showing up here, but you should have really nothing here. What you're going to want to do is click on Connect a New Account. And what you're going to do is, since you're already logged into this account, all you have to do is select Authorize. Now, if you aren't logged in, you're going to have to log in first before you can authorize. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually rename this to something that I know what it is. So this would be Insightly Task to from email. And then what you're going to do is go ahead and click on Test and make sure that it is a success. If it's not a success, you're going to want to try to connect your account again. Click Save and Continue. And now this is what it's asking. It says only trigger on email sent to a specific mailbox. So I'm going to choose from the drop down the mailbox that I created earlier, and that was D3 New Task. So I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to click Continue. And then you want to make sure that you actually have sent an email, which I have, to this particular mailbox. Now, if you haven't, that's a problem. You need to send an email to this particular mailbox and create your template before you can move any further with Zapier. And hopefully you've done that already. So we're going to click Fetch and Continue because I know I have one in there. And the test was successful. So now all I have to do is press Continue. So now what I want to do is I want to choose Insightly because it's my CRM. You can do this with a different CRM that Zapier supports, but I'm going to choose Insightly. And I am actually going to create a task. Now, if that's not showing up here for you, you can just type in Create Task and it will show up from the drop-down menu. And I'm going to click Save and Continue. Now, I've already connected my D3 account for Insightly. You can connect a new account. And once you do that, it's going to ask you for the API key. If you go over to Insightly and you go underneath your photo here and go to User Settings. Under User Settings, if you scroll down, you will see API key, and your API key is. You're going to copy everything after the semicolon here. And then you're going to copy and paste it into here and click Yes and Continue. That's all there is to connecting Insightly. Once you've done that, it will show up on the list here. So if I test it, my connection is currently successful because I've already set it all up. And you can edit this then after you've made a successful connection so that you remember what account this is. It's just for you. And then click Save and Continue. Now this is the title of the task that will be created in Insightly. So I'm going to click on this little plus sign here. And remember I set up those that template, and it's Parse Output Task Title. It always starts with Parse. So this is actually the task title that I want it to be. And then I'm going to go ahead and just assign it to myself. I'm not going to worry about the owner. Now in Insightly, you can actually choose a specific start date. So you could take something from the email if you wanted to, which might be a good idea if you want to look at the date that the email was sent. Maybe that's the start date. I never put a start date in Insightly. I always use due dates. And for due dates, you could again use the date, but I actually prefer to do some sort of text. And I usually do 2 days. Due in 2 days, or in 2 days, 2 days from today at 5 p.m. And Zapier can actually do what it needs to with that information. Play around a little bit with this to see what you want to do. You can choose to put it in a category if you wanted to. I usually end up putting it in to do. And then anything else you want to set up. Now this will be for every task you forward in, so you don't want to make it too specific. Otherwise you're going to have a problem. Now there is a way to link it to a particular organization, but it includes a second, or actually would be a third step, an in-between step between these, where you would find the organization that's listed in the email. I actually have found that doesn't work with a free account because it's an extra step. You're only allowed to do 2 steps with a free account, so I'm not going to show you how to do that. But I do want you to be aware that you could actually also put in an additional step where you put in the organization name or the person's name in that email that you forward, and then set up the parser to find that organization name and then search for it and actually then link it. But that's not covered in this video. So we're gonna now, I'm pretty happy with all this, except the last thing would be the details of the task that I need to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and go down to parse output task description, which actually doesn't show, like it's not showing up very well. That's not actually the full parse description. So I'm actually going to choose instead to do the email body plain text. It didn't show up very well. Parser sometimes doesn't work all that well, but when in doubt, you can always fall back on the email body plain since it has everything in the body of the email that you created. All right, I'm going to click continue. And now what it's going to show me is this is exactly the task it's going to create. With this title, it's going to be assigned to me. It's going to be 2 days from today at 5 p.m. It's going to be in the category of to do. It's not started yet, and the details from the email are here. I'm going to go ahead and create and continue. Once I've done that, it says test successful, and I can go back to Insightly just to make sure and go to my tasks. If I refresh my tasks, you can see I've got ABC company, add new employee. Now at this point, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and edit it, and then I could choose what person to link this task to. So if I wanted to link it to an organization, but I've also found that it's really not that important for me to necessarily link it. It's just most important that I actually just have it in my task list so that I remember to come back to it. Then once I've done all that and made sure my test was successful, I click on finish. I want to name this Insightly tasks from email, and I'm going to turn my Zap on. Now Zaps will run every 15 minutes. So if you forward an email, it might take about 10 to 15 minutes to show up in Insightly because of the process that has to go through, but it will work every time you forward yourself an email. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard, and you can see the ones that I've got playing here. And then actually you can go ahead and click on the history to see what tasks were actually completed with that particular Zap. So you can see a full history and which ones might have failed, because it is possible for it to fail occasionally. But when this is all set up and running, you should not have to go back to Zapier at all. This should just automate completely for you, run in the background, and you should be just completely forget about it, so that you can be more productive and use technology to make your business successful. Congratulations, we just tackled your technology trouble together. Doesn't it feel good to be able to use technology the way it was intended? Thanks for watching this video, and please be sure to check out the additional resources listed below and to share this video with others who need technology help too. Please visit solopreneurmentor.com for more tips and tricks and tutorials on how to use technology to make you more productive in building your online business from home.